All right, welcome everyone. We are live. I am Katrina Keene, and we've got Drew here as well. I'll let him introduce himself, but we're so excited to be here with EdCamp Global Classrooms, and I'm going to let Drew introduce himself first, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit as well.
Hi everybody, I'm Drew Minock. I'm the Education Program Manager at DACRI, and also a co-founder of twoguysintomypads.com. We used to have the Two Guys Show, which was a podcast that Brad Wade and I did together, which we've been talking about starting back up hopefully very, very soon. So we're excited about that. But I'm excited to be here with Katrina and joining the EdCamp Global Classroom, and it should be fun to talk about augmented reality today.
Awesome. Again, I'm Katrina, and I started with AR in 2012, actually. It was something that was just kind of new, had just come out. I think Erasmus was one of the first apps that I started with, and I'm going to demo that in just a little bit. But I was at the time at a K-12 school and was just trying to find new ways to integrate technology, and you know, I just always like to do things that are, you know, exciting and different and bring new things to the classroom. And so when we get to the part about Erasmus, or when I start talking about it, I'll show you and some different ways that I started with that. But then a couple years later, I met Drew and Brad, and you know, these amazing people that just you know had come about and you know had started with DACRI. And so I'm like, what's this DACRI? And it was just so exciting, and the level of enthusiasm, excitement that Drew and Brad both bring to the augmented reality community is just phenomenal. And so I finally got to connect face-to-face with Drew at EdCamp USA this last year, and so finally got to meet him, and it was like meeting this famous person, you know, this AR guy. So
oh, please.
So I was thrilled. But anyway, and so they've shown me all kinds of stuff with AR, and it's just been kind of just a fun ride since then. And so I guess we can kind of get to it and show some different apps and just talk. Maybe if you want to, you know,
we'll talk about some different apps. I'll tell you real quick about how I first saw it, and just kind of how Brad and I kind of got so engaged in augmented reality, especially in education. I went to a conference, and a good friend of ours now, Leslie Fisher, I was at one of her sessions where she shows, like, it's like an app smash. She did, or whatever. She just shows all these great apps, boom, 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 right after another, right? And she showed an augmented reality app. And I was like blown away like a little kid, like it was a magic trick. I was like, okay, what was that? And she was like, okay, next. And I'm like, what, next? Next. Okay,
go
back and show more of that. Tell me what that was, you know? And I felt like I was the only one in the room that was like that. And I was hooked instantly. Right then I started like researching all I could about augmented reality. Brad and I both just became instantly hooked on it. And
at the time you were a teacher, right?
Yes, I was teaching third grade. And this was in about the middle of the year. And again, I think it was about 2012. So a few years ago. And it was just very early on. So there wasn't really a lot out there, especially in education. A lot of the things were very gimmicky and for marketing, advertising, things like that. But we just kept searching and searching. And that's where we found Anatomy 4D was one of the first kind of educational applications that is created by DACRI. And it just so happens that they had a person in Detroit. So we got connected with him, and I'll never forget, we went to this augmented reality event that was hosted by DACRI in Detroit, not far from our school. And Brad and I were told it was a training, or not a training, a workshop, or like an event. So we're like, oh, okay. So being teachers, you know, we think it's like a PD. We show up with our backpacks on, and you know, we're totally like ready to learn, like it's a workshop, right?
Backpacks on.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh, we stuck out like sore thumbs. We walk in, everyone's dressed to the tens. It's a mixer. They've got shrimp cocktails and all this other stuff, and we are there with our backpacks on,
love
our
it,
school clothes, with our school IDs, like totally look like nerds, right?
I can just picture you too.
Yeah, it was awkward to say the least, but got to ask our now CEO, Brian Mullins, a question about augmented reality in education, and I knew right then it was something that was near and dear to his heart, as he told us, and we just kind of stayed connected with him, and eventually, you know, have joined their team to kind of spread the word about using augmented reality in education. So that's kind of how we got started, just a little bit about it.
That's so awesome. So teacher gone, I mean, just blew up, right?
Yeah,
you see this augmented reality and
it just blows your mind. And I just figure if it has that effect on me,
yeah,
because I always consider myself kind of tech savvy. Like I was always very into, you know, technology, the iPad and the iPhone the day it came out, things like that. So if it had that effect on me, I knew it would have a positive effect on my kids.
And I think what's cool too is, I mean, this is evidence of, you know, you being a third grade teacher, and we, you know, and using something as huge as augmented reality. You know, we hear so often that, oh, there's nothing for primary, or, oh my gosh, I teach kindergarten and you know, we can't do these things because the kids are too young. And this is something that can be K-12. It's fun for adults even. So that's just, it's just awesome that you have, you know, that experience in the classroom using it with your students, which is incredible.
And a lot of people, when jumping off of that, a lot of people think that augmented reality is kind of like, you know, an early childhood type of thing. And I know you're going to show color live, and there's a lot of other, there's so many augmented reality coloring apps out there now. It's insane. I bet you there's close to 30 of them. And so that's the way people kind of associate it with it. But there are so many applications out that are coming out for not only, you know, high school level, but higher ed, and a lot in like the enterprise, where people much older, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s are now using it in their workplace.
Yeah.
I actually watched an hour-long webinar all about augmented reality in the enterprise section just this morning. So it's definitely ranging a wide range of people right now.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the great things I think about EdCamp Global Classrooms is that we get a lot of viewers that are new to these tools. And I bet, because we have, I think, 50 plus countries joining us today, you know, and if they're not, I know it really is. If they're not, you know, on here live with us now, they'll be able to go back and view this video. And there may be some people that don't even know what augmented reality means. So Drew, what do you do when you go and you come across a teacher that just, they say, augmented reality, I've heard so much about this, I don't even know what it is. How can I use this?
Very simple. We think of movies, right? Everyone's seen, it's an easy way to kind of visualize it. And one movie being Harry Potter is a very obvious example of being a student at Hogwarts. As you're walking down the halls and you look at the pictures on the wall, they're not just your normal pictures like we have in our rooms. They're alive, they're interactive. And that's what augmented reality gives you the ability to do, is to bring that stagnant image like that and bring it to life with digital content. So that's basically what augmented reality is bringing digital content into our physical world to interact with.
That's so awesome. And later on in our session here, I want to talk a little bit. I often get questions from teachers, you know, all this pre-made stuff is great, right? You know, augmented reality, how cool, pre-made stuff, but we get teachers that are looking beyond that. You know, can I create my own? How do I do that? You know, how can I use this in the classroom? So I'm a third grade teacher, and what are some ways I can use it and have my students create? I think that's the biggest piece right there, is the student creation. So I would love to touch on that later and talk a little bit about that and how teachers can do that.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, something that has so much value, is not only teachers creating their own specific examples for their students or their you know, their community, their school, whatever, but kids creating, because it's so important for kids to have the ability to show their comprehension in more than one way. And augmented reality is a medium that really allows you to do that. And the reason augmented reality is so powerful in education is because of the way that our brains actually work. I mean, they're image processors, you know, they're not word processors. And we process things so much more quicker, and all these things when I can see it visually. And then you bring in the spatial aspect of it with the 3D. It's just so powerful, and enables students to have knowledge transfer so quickly. So it's a powerful tool for sure. And we'll definitely talk about a couple ways that people can create their own.
Yeah, I definitely think this meets students where they are today and how they're learning today, and gives them the opportunity to do this. So, and as we go along, and we'll show you just how easy this is to use in your classroom. We'll give you some curricular connections as well, you know, and talk about some of these things. So I think a lot of teachers and educators are very apprehensive about using augmented reality. It seems challenging, it seems cumbersome, and it's really not. So we'll show you how easy it is, and I think this is going to be a fun next you know, next while here with Drew and I. So, all right,
I do think it does scare people.
Yeah,
I will agree with that. Everyone sees it, they're like, oh wow, I can't do that.
Yep.
But really, I mean, I had 3rd and 4th graders that were creating their own. So just think, if an 8 and 9-year-old can do it, I feel like there's definitely, you know, potential that educators can do it as well. Even though some of our 8 and 9-year-olds are definitely more tech savvy than some of us. But
all right, well, talk to us a little bit about DAQRI. Talk to us about some of the classroom ways that we can use DAQRI. So what's available?
Well, one of the most popular things or applications that we deal with is Elements 4D. It deals with blocks similar to this. Okay, so each one of these blocks have a different, each face has a different element from the periodic table. There's 6 blocks. I'm not going to hold up all 6 because I don't think I could. But
you got to learn how to juggle those.
I should.
So that would be a trick.
That would be a trick. That'd be quite the presentation, wouldn't it? But the blocks are not easy to get. Obviously, you to get them, you basically need to see Brad and I live, and we usually give out some sets for free. But you can print them right inside the app. So if you search in the App Store Elements 4D by DAQRI, it will pop up and you can download the app. It's completely free, and print the blocks out right from inside the app. You can also go to elements4d.daqri.com, and on the website there's some awesome resources. We have 6 free lesson plans that were created by some amazing educators from all over the country here in the US, and reviewed by master chemists. So we have 2 at elementary, 2 middle school, and 2 high school lesson plans, completely free to download and use with the element blocks as well. But just to kind of show an example here, see if we can go ahead and screen share, and then I can, and then I'll go ahead and.
Yeah, I love the ones that you can print out. And what I did when I was speaking a lot at conferences on augmented reality, instead of taking the actual blocks with me, I had them printed out, and then I laminated them, cut them out, laminated them, and then put little Velcro pieces so I could put the blocks back together and then lay them flat when I was traveling. So that was nice, until Drew was nice enough to give me, Drew and Brad, to give me the actual blocks. So now I do take those with me. But for teachers that do not have the blocks, the printouts are quite nice.
So all I do is, once I open the app, it works just like a QR code reader. Think of it that way. So you have the camera and you scan the block. Now when I scan gold here, it actually turns the block into gold. I can actually touch the word down here at the bottom to get more information about it. Then I can also bring in another block. So I have chlorine. So I have a solid and a gas. And now by simply just taking the 2 blocks and touching them together, the physical blocks, it gives me the chemical reaction.
So cool. So engaging for students.
Well, it's such a visual way to see something that's, for so long you couldn't see visually like this, right? Now I can take these things anywhere and learn about chemistry instead of being in a lab. Another powerful aspect of this is that something like mercury that is dangerous and we cannot interact with in schools now, I can actually hold in my hand and I can see how it interacts with different elements. So you can interact with these dangerous materials in a very safe way, really anywhere you want. You could do different experiences and experiments on the bus. You can do them at home. And what a great way to do science experiments, period, using augmented reality. Because a lot of teachers, we always joke about it. You know, a lot of teachers, they'll be doing some sort of science experiment where they have all of these different elements at each station, and then literally by like second hour, half of them are gone. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a penny, you know, I mean, for some reason it'll be gone by second hour. So now you have to find another penny, or you have to find another rock, or do something. If you're using augmented reality, you get out your target image, and your iPads and you're done, or you let the kids use their phones or something like that. And then they can take that target and they can do the experiment anywhere. So even if a kid misses class, he's still able to participate.
Yeah, and these apps are free. So yeah, any student can download them on their phone or their iPad and have these experiences at home. And you could even print the blocks for them and they could take those home. And I'll tell you, when they do that, they go home and they talk with their parents. That's another thing that's so amazing. And then I've had parents come back to me and they say, okay, so my child came home and was talking about school. You know, I mean, which is crazy, you know, especially for the older students that are taking home these, you know, this chemistry, you know, things. So anyway,
that's one thing I love. I love that it gets kids so excited about learning.
Yeah.
They feel the need to share it, which I mean is incredibly powerful. I'll never forget, we were working with a school in Winter Park, Florida, just outside of Orlando. It's one of our, we call flagship schools. And we did PD with teachers for 2 days, and then we went around and visited some classrooms. And when we were visiting classrooms, they're like, oh, why are you guys here? So we were telling them, and he's like, my teacher did that in class yesterday. I took a picture of it, and he showed us his phone. He goes, and I shared it on social media. And we're like, that's a 9th grader. How many 9th graders are taking a picture of what they're doing and learning in school and sharing it on their social media? And we're like, wow, that right there just shows the power of what we're sharing, because kids are so excited about it and gets them so excited about learning, which to me is vital. It's the number one thing that we can do as teachers, is get kids to be excited about learning and love learning. So when you're able to do that, any learning outcome is possible.
Excellent.
It's all exciting.
So you also talked a little bit about what's the other daiquiri app that we have?
Anatomy?
Yes, Anatomy. And so I would love for you to demo that if you have those trigger images. And this one is incredible for biology.
Yeah, so this one comes with 2 different target images. And so what I'm going to do is, I don't have them printed out, so I'm going to scan one iPad with another. Okay. Because that works. Which is cool too, because so if you don't want to print out all of these different devices, if you could just put it up on the project it somewhere and they could scan it. I've
got it printed if you want me to show it.
Oh, if you've got it ready,
I've got
ready
it
to go,
ready.
then
okay, let's
go
see
ahead.
here. All right. Got it all right here. This is my
She's much
AR
more organized than I am.
my AR traveling folder of images here. So let me move some stuff aside and I'll show this. So I'm going to show 2 different triggers. Let me do a screen share here. Normally I change my background, so now you get to see my kids. Actually, my my son, better known as DD1 Gaming, he is presenting tomorrow at 2 o'clock on Minecraft. So if you want to join him for that, that would be awesome. So I'm going to go into my AR folder here, and you can see, I mean, how big AR has gotten. I mean, these aren't even all of them. These are just some of my favorite apps. But so all right, let me find my Anatomy. Did I pass it here? There we go. Okay. So if I hold over the trigger and I put in, can you hear that, Drew?
I cannot.
You can't hear that? Okay, I plugged in my speaker so that they could actually hear the heart beating. Let me see if I can turn it up.
Yep, I can hear it now.
Yeah. So the coolest thing here, and I mean, you can look all over. You can zoom in.
And the great thing about that is the way to visually see something like that. I mean, one powerful story that we've had shared with us is a friend of ours, his niece had to have heart surgery, but she's very young and she didn't understand kind of what the issue was, and the parents and the doctors had a hard time kind of explaining it to her. So he knew about Anatomy 4D, and so he showed it to them, And then they were able to take it to the doctor's office, and then the doctor brought up the heart like this and was able to isolate the spot where the issue was and visually explain it to his niece and the parents. And then they were able to then use the app to explain it to other family members and things like that. So, I mean, how powerful. And then this will actually connect. This will actually
like
connect,
you can hold it.
Right? This will actually connect to a Bluetooth-enabled heart monitor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you connect that to the device and then open up the app, that heart will beat exactly what your heartbeat is right now.
Incredible.
So let's say you go and work out or you do something, you come back and fire this up, and your heart rate is accelerated. That heart will be beating much faster. And in the top right corner, it will tell you what your heart rate is.
That's incredible.
Which is pretty powerful in a visual way to see real-time information.
Mm-hmm. So Drew, can teachers do this, get these trigger images for free, this printout?
Yeah, they're inside the app. So
okay.
Katrina, if you hit those 3 lines at the top left,
yep,
and then hit target library, that's where the 2 targets are. There's the human body, and then if you swipe over, there's the heart. And you can save them right there
yep, and
to your
print them.
camera roll, or you can print them out, email them, whatever you want to do.
Incredible. Yes, I saw that other one in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this trigger down.
And we always like to warn people that this was created for a medical school. So this is accurate. So you might want to dial down the skin tone, because if you have it all the way up, even adults will giggle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can, again, using that wheel down there, you can isolate each body system, turning different parts on and off, see how the circulatory system works with the nervous system. And I mean, what a visual way to learn. You always like doing this one.
I do. I love the eyes. That always freaks people out. Just incredible. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. Look at the detail.
What a way to learn.
No doubt. No doubt. I wish I would have had this.
Oh, I would have been so much better at chemistry if I had elements 4D. My sister was, she just is going back to school, and she has to take a chemistry class in college. And she texted me the other day, "Hey, can I borrow those chemistry blocks that you have?" I'm like, yes, you can.
That's awesome.
See? Even in college, the
That's right. That's right. All right. What's up next?
Well, you have, if you want to show Color Live, you can do that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let me.
So these are an example of the coloring books, and we use these when we were teachers as a great way to inspire creative writing. And like we're saying, as you can see there's lots of different coloring applications out there that you can go ahead and download and print the pages out, or buy the coloring books and do this in class. But we give the kids autonomy, and they can choose whatever coloring page that they want. They pick it, they color it out, or color the page, and then they just start writing a story about it without ever showing them the augmented reality portion of it. Some kids that may have seen it on TV, the commercials, are actually done this at home, so tell them not to blurt out what actually happens. But
yeah,
go ahead, have them color it, have them start writing their story, and then about halfway through the lesson, stop them images to life using the Color Live application. And then have them go back and add details and really elaborate on their story. And it was literally one of the only writing lessons I feel like I ever had where the kids literally groaned when I said, "You have to stop writing." So that right there is all I needed. And it was just such a fun lesson. And kids rarely get to really share their creativity and get to write about whatever they want. It's always, a specific topic. So as she fired the app there, she's colored the page. Well done, by the way.
You know what? I actually did not color this one. Yeah, one of when I presented on AR, somebody in my session colored this. I think it was somebody in Tennessee.
See, you'll get the 2 buttons. You'll get the 4D, and then the other square is special effects. So you hit the 4D button, and then boom. your coloring page comes to life exactly the way that you colored it.
And I've got another one colored too.
All right.
So yeah, and it's exactly how it was colored, which is so cool. I love that.
You can take pictures of it. You can also save the characters, which is something we always love to do, is save the characters. And you can then place them anywhere you want in your environment and take pictures with them, or you can turn around with the all-important selfie cam and take pictures of it, which
love that selfie cam.
I cannot even tell you how many pictures I have with that dragon.
The dragon's great.
Different schools with kids.
Unfortunately, I don't have a dragon colored. I have, somebody chose a Barbie.
Oh,
So
all right.
see Barbie, you know.
Oh, that's very well colored.
Yes. Yes, thank you to whoever that was. There she is.
And these pages are actually a little different, and I don't know if they all have them, but some of them will have little extra elements, like that question mark popped up in the back. If you touch that question mark, other elements from the page will actually pop up into the story. So it's not just Barbie, but it's other elements from the coloring page.
Love it. I mean, how much fun is this? So let me hit that. Oh, okay, up, and then they all go away. Love it. So you would have your students actually use these as like story starters, right? And write, and use them for journals. That's incredible.
I always liked. This is just personal preference, but I always liked using either the Enchanted Forest or the Mythical Creatures one, because there's no preconceived ideas of what it is, like with Barbie or Minions.
True.
There's no wrong way to color it. You know,
I like that.
There's no real wrong way to color any of them, but Minions, they're mostly yellow, right? So kids just automatically think that, oh, I'm going to color this yellow. Where with the other pages, there's no preconceived way of that it needs to be colored. So they can literally create it any way that they want, which I think is really important in the process of creativity. So those are the pages that I prefer to use, and those are the ones I enjoy the most.
I like that. That's a great suggestion. When we very first started, I talked a little bit about an app called Erasma, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was one of the first AR apps that came out where teachers could actually subscribe to and create their own for their school or for their classroom. And so as soon as it came out, I was just so excited and jumped on it. And I'll tell you what I was, I guess, so inspired by. My office where I was working was actually in the high school library. So I would see students coming in, they'd return their book, and I thought, you know, how would I know if that student actually read that book or what they thought about that book? We don't know. They check them out, they return them, and we don't ever hear back from them again. And I thought, this could be a great way to use AR. So why not take a picture of the cover of the book before they return it and have them do just a quick, 20-second review on the book. Did they like the book? Did they not like the book? And just talk a little bit about what the book was about, so that the next student checking it out could then scan the front cover of the book and then know what it was about. So this was my big, grand plan for the school. And we did this, and we used students and we used teachers. And so I've got an example for you. So let me, again, share my iPad here. Okay.
We did this in our classroom too. We actually found that the books that were augmented actually were checked out more often, because they're learning about the book from somebody their age up here, rather than reading the back and learning about it from the publisher.
So we might there it goes. Oh, that's a different one. That wasn't the book.
That's one that's actually that's by Erasma, I believe. That one looks like it's a perfect.
This is the abridged version. It is quite cool. But the reason that I like it so much is because I feel as if it's one of the novels of such a great length that manages to captivate you for the entirety of it. There really are no dull parts, and the way that Dumas manages to intertwine the characters is really quite marvelous.
So all I did was I took a picture of the cover of the book. Obviously, that's the cover, and they just made a short video, and then I attached that video to the target image. I was seeing if I had another one, because I've got an example where a teacher did the same thing. And I'll tell you, the students love going and hearing their teacher, talk about a book. They think that that's great. So,
and
especially the
I did
younger
it with
kids.
homework assignments. I mean,
Awesome.
a lot of our math homework was very language based. So like the kids would go home, and if they didn't understand the vocabulary, they struggled with it. But the other problem was that the vocabulary was different, same concepts with different vocabulary than when their parents learned those in school. So they would go home and they'd be struggling with it. So then their parents would obviously try and help, but really made the problem worse because they're using different vocabulary than we used in class. So I would record a, minute and a half, 2-minute mini lesson using Explain Everything, and then take that video and tie it to the homework assignment. So then every single night when they went home on that homework assignment, they just scan it and boom, there it is, me. It looks like I'm drawing right on top of their homework as I explain with the exact same lesson, vocabulary examples we used in class that day. And I found that homework came back more often, not only because it helped those struggling students, but it was like a magic trick every time they went home.
And for the parents can't wait to scan it either,
And I even got an email saying like, thank you so much. You have solved this issue, because literally it was an argument every night with my child trying to do their homework. And by doing this, it's completely taken that argument away. So
I love that.
That is probably a very simple, but yet probably the most powerful way that I've ever used AR in my classroom.
Sure. I've also seen it where there was a second grade teacher who, for all his stations in the classroom, would have a trigger up. So every week, instead of him explaining what every station was about, or, make sure you get this done, everything was a trigger in each of his station or centers, whatever you call them at your school. And the students would go and scan them. I had another teacher, and this is awesome for languages, for foreign language classes. So the students would walk in and she would have all these maps up, and she taught Spanish, had all these maps up, and then the students would go and scan them and learn different things about the country. So you can get as creative as you want. You could, I've had teachers say, this is a lot of work, so I have to make all these videos, have the students make them. You don't even have to know anything about video editing or creating a video or anything. They can just grab their phone, grab their iPad, whatever they're using, and create a short video just using their camera. And then what I always had my students do is then they would upload them to a Google Drive folder, and I would post them for them. And that was very, very easy. And you can be creative there how you want to get those online. But there's lots of different ways around it. And once you try it, you'll see that it is fairly easy to do. So.
Yes, and that's one of the things that we want kids to create, and I think that it's really important to have the ability to do that. And there's obviously lots of platforms out there that you can do that. I know you just shared Erasmus, which is one that's was probably the first one that I knew of.
Yeah.
Way back, a few years ago when we started learning about this, that was the one that we first started using because it was the only one that was free.
Right.
There are other free ones out there. There was 4D Studio that you used and were a big supporter of, and is currently being updated, but should be back available at 4D Expo, which is Dacre's big conference that they have. So you can learn more about that on their website. So yeah. We're excited about it. We're excited for teachers to start using it again and students to start using it again and creating.
Absolutely. So one of the, I also get questions, should I use Erasmus? Should I use, Dacre Studio? What should I use? And I always try to stay neutral when it comes to different companies, because ultimately we're educators, right? And we want students creating, we want students learning. And so I often show every platform that I can show. So right now with Erasmus, just so you know, if you're new to Erasmus, most of you are probably right now on your phones downloading Erasmus, but know that there's two different Erasmus. So there's one that is an app for your phone that's like the viewer. Yes, you can create triggers and stuff, but that's local to you. So if you want to start a large project like the library or have your students creating and uploading triggers and targets, you have to make sure that you sign up for the Erasmus Studio. So do a Google search, Erasmus Studio, sign up, and then that way you can start posting within that studio. I recommend if you really start getting into AR, because you'll get excited, you'll start talking about it, and then another teacher in your school is going to want to do it too. So what I recommend, if you're using Erasma, to sign your school up as a school so that you have one channel for your school. If you don't, then you're going to have every teacher with their own channel, and then parents have to subscribe to 30 different channels, and that's too much for parents, too much for students. So I recommend,
too much for teachers.
It really is, and what's the password and how do I log in? And I recommend, working with your administrator and signing your school up for one account, and then any teachers that want to use that account, of course, you would give them the password and they could upload to that. And just so you know, if you are confused about that, or you say, what is a channel? What does this all mean? This sounds so crazy. Oh my gosh, you're speaking a foreign language. Please, tweet me, email me, and Drew too. I know he's such a big help, and we can help you through this process, and I would love to talk with anybody that's interested in this. Now, as for Daiquiri Studio, right now, like Drew said, that's closed, opening back up in May. So if you got on that at the very, very beginning and got an account, then bravo to you, because you're lucky you have an account. They've closed that down so that new users cannot sign up. And so I'm looking at it as a positive, because it can only be great. Daiquiri Studio was great to begin with, and if they're updating it, then it can only be great when it comes back out in May. One of the great things that I loved about Daiquiri Studio, and why I hopped from Erasma to Daiquiri, is because there's no channels to follow, which made it so easy. You didn't have to worry, if you did have a couple channels for your school, they just don't exist. Everything is in Daiquiri, and you scan it using the Daiquiri app, and it doesn't matter. So
it's just so easy to create, where other platforms can be kind of cumbersome and difficult to do. I feel like 40 Studio was so easy. Literally, like I said, I had third and fourth graders creating without issue.
Yep.
So we're excited for it to come back out, obviously, and like I said, get teachers and students creating again. And there's images of what the new studio actually looks like on the Daiquiri website that is completely redesigned and recently relaunched as well. So if you go on there, you can definitely check out what it's going to look like. And if you've seen old pictures or pictures of the older 40 Studio, to me it's it's drastically different. But it gives you a lot of power, but still the ease of use. So we're really excited about it.
That's so cool. I love it. So I'm not going to probably launch any more apps, but just so you know, there's all kinds of different AR apps available now, all kinds of different triggers. Right now, this is a newer one that you can buy these books at Target. And I've seen them at Target. They may have them at Walmart. I'm not sure. But
is that hardcover?
It is hardcover.
How about that?
Yeah, nice. So if you think, in your classroom, these are going to last for a while. And so you just download the apps, and all of these are trigger images and do all different kinds of things within the book. So, which is kind of neat. So there's all these companies that are hopping on this. They know that it's great for education, know that it's great for engagement. And here's another one by that company. They've got just another coloring book. We said that there's lots of different ones out there. So lots available. I definitely, if you're wanting to start with AR, I would definitely go with some of the pre-made ones, get an idea of how it all works. Use it yourself first, get it into your classroom, and then from there you can start really with the creating and having your students start creating as well, which is just the powerful piece. I think that's the next level of AR.
I completely agree. I think that using the apps that are already out there, and obviously we've talked about like the coloring ones, we've showed elements for chemistry and anatomy and things like that, but there are many other ones out there that are available for different curriculum uses. And AR flashcards is one of my favorite ones. And
Yep.
they're actually their new app came out last night. So it's AR flashcards edition, which is pretty awesome. And I was lucky enough to try it before it came out, and it's pretty cool, and it's actually on sale for 99 cents for a limited time. So definitely check out AR flashcards. And they have 4 different apps out. So AR flashcards, the regular one, which is the alphabet for letter recognition and sounds, is free. And then there's some awesome dinosaurs. I highly recommend trying the Velociraptor, which is one of my favorites. There they are.
Here's some of them.
AR flashcard space, which also recently just launched a free version to that. Jupiter, again, by far my favorite one. The kids that they have in these apps are literally like the cutest kids ever. Jupiter and Velociraptor. So keep those in mind. Those are my two favorite ones. But Shapes and Colors as well. And then now Edition. So I would definitely highly recommend checking those out.
One of my other favorite ones, NASA has a really good AR app out, and they've got all kinds of different triggers.
Never played with.
Oh man, this one is just, it blew my mind when I first saw it, because when you scan these, I mean, these huge rovers pop out and they do all, arms come out and, you know, do all these different kinds of things. And that one's free as well. And you can download those triggers for that. But, you know, for the science classroom or your science center, you can put those in and the kids just love them, and it never gets old. They feel so powerful, you know, as soon as that you know, augmented reality pops out, they just love it. So.
And the cool thing about that one is there's only one target.
Yeah.
And I think I can't stress how much I love that, because literally you can just print the one target, put it in the middle of the table, and then you can have 5, 6 kids standing around the table and they're all experiencing something different. So I think the one target is awesome, and highly recommend that future developers do the same thing.
So cool. One of the things that I think that I love so much about you and Brad is that, you know, although you are working for DACRI, it's just so apparent that you're an educator at heart, and
you know,
talking about different apps and, you know, how it can be used in the classroom. It's just so wonderful to hear your passion behind augmented reality and the difference it can make in education. So.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we are literally nuts about this stuff. We're completely nuts in every aspect. Like, I look at this stuff up just in my free time because I love it. It's not work to me, you know. I will just about every other day get in the app store and just search augmented reality and see what new apps are out there, or just download a bunch and try them. Or, you know, there's this new Star Wars one is fun. There's so many of them out there, and
the Star Wars one's great.
Yes,
that's incredible.
So I highly recommend just trying it.
It's a must.
There's so many cool ones out there. Spellbound is another one.
Yeah.
That's newer, where you can scan books and then get like the animations for some of the books. There's just so many cool things that you can do now, and it's exciting. Really, it's still early. It's still young, especially in education. But I mean, every day it seems like there's more and more coming out for it. But again, I think we both agree that creating your own or having students create is really the power in it.
It is. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, all right. This was
a lot of fun.
Fantastic. A ton of fun. I mean, you can't not get excited when talking about augmented reality. So, you know, just incredible. And it's always such an honor and pleasure to talk with you, Drew. And
Same
yeah, hopefully we'll get to see one another at an upcoming conference. And for the viewers that are on here, if you ever get the chance to, you know, if you're going to ISTE maybe this year, if you're in the US, if you ever get the chance to hear Drew and Brad, or, you know, separately, please do that. And I know that you've gotten to see Drew here, but when you see them in person and the passion behind it,
we have fun.
It's fun. It is fun. And even if you were just the biggest hater of AR, or I don't know why anybody would be, but you would end up loving it just because you get so excited, and it's just incredible. So anyway, but thank you all, everybody that's on here and everybody that joined us. And even if you weren't on here live and you're joining us later, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either of us at any time, and we would love to help out.
I know your Twitter handle's up there. I think mine is as well. So yes, like Katrina said, please tweet either one of us. We'd be happy to help. I know you've got a lot of resources on your website that people can go to and learn about. Same with us at twoguysandSmilePads.com. If, you know, check out there. Everything that I've shared is on there. And if you have questions about other stuff, please share it. Or if you are just excited about something, anything, please share it with us. We love it.
Anything.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Drew. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.